Welcome to this edition of Heritage Highlights, with me, Chris Tracy, Archive Specialist at Norfolk Heritage Centre, located on the second floor of the Norfolk and Norwich Millennium Library. Each week, Heritage Highlights considers key items held in our collections, or images that can be found online via the Picture Norfolk website, through which you can access over 25,000 images relating to life in Norfolk over the last 150 years. Today, we are again putting some photographs centre stage, a handful of images relating to the famous Norwich Canary. Today, the city's association with the small yellow bird is known mainly through the endeavours of Norwich City Football Club, long nicknamed the Canaries. This photograph of a Stewart and Patterson's brewery dray, decorated to celebrate the club's 1959 FA Cup run, is one of a series of images made by Mr. Alan Bolingbroke during the 1950s, most of which relate to the brewery firm where he worked. As can be clearly seen, a model canary here takes pride of place on top of the model of the cup. But why the Canaries? After all, it is not as if they can be found flocking the city streets. The answer, as with so many aspects of Norwich's cultural heritage, is rooted in the arrival of the strangers, those immigrants from the Low Countries who, fleeing religious persecution in the 1560s and the decades following, settled in the city. As well as skills relating to weaving, printing, clockmaking and gardening, the incomers brought with them their love of the caged birds. This item, wonderfully evocative of the era, featured as one of our first heritage highlights a few weeks back, and is a beautiful chart of the Norfolk coast, produced around 1584 by the 16th century Dutch cartographer Lucas Janszoon Wagener. By the 19th century, Norwich had become known throughout the country as a centre for canary breeding, and shows and competitions, for which people travelled from as far away as London, and which could involve up to 300 birds, proliferated in pubs and other venues in the city. Here we see canary breeder William Drake, photographed around about 1900, with his canaries and prize cups in the Spread Eagle pub, Sussex Street, where he was the landlord. Drake had also worked in one of the many shoe factories in Norwich at this time, and was reputed to have been the first man to breed a crested canary. As its own annotation says, the photograph here on the left shows the Norwich Canary and Cage that was presented by the Norwich All England Cage Bird Association to Queen Mary in May 1911, on the occasion of her official birthday, a month before the coronation of her husband, George V. On the right, we see that its connection with the birds had, by the mid-20th century, become well established in the city's perception of its own identity. The photograph, taken in 1950, forms part of the holdings of the Museum of Norwich, formerly the Bridewell Museum. A note included with the original image reads, "Norwich canaries get their red pigment from a diet of red pepper at molting time," a fact which Mr. Drake would presumably have been in a position to confirm or deny. Thank you for watching this edition of Heritage Highlights, whose subject, the Norwich Canary, was in part prompted by this week's History Begins at Home theme of hobbies. A new national campaign, History Begins at Home, aims to connect people through conversations about history and to capture and then share these conversations, memories and stories through social media. For more information, take a look at the campaign's Facebook page or follow it on Twitter. Thank you.